Welcome back, eSIM Studios podcast live stream, episode number 82. 82, lucky number 82. Side note, that's the year I was born, 1982. That'll give you a little idea of how old I am. You can see the gray hairs. Thank you for joining us today for this Monday afternoon. Again, started later than I was supposed to. I do apologize. I'm trying to work on that, I promise. I know everybody has their own schedule and, catch it when you can. But if you miss a live stream, you can always catch the replay on YouTube. Or if you want to take us with you while you're running some errands, what have you, You can also download our audio form podcast on any streaming platform available, right? So wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, we will be right there waiting for you to listen whenever you are ready. Let's see. Let me adjust the volume. Sometimes the volume might be a little too loud, right? Don't want to make that too loud. But I got a couple. Interestingly enough, this might be the. I'm trying to think. We have some Apple news today. Not much Android news. This might be the only day and/or only podcast we do, at least that I can remember, that's just strictly Apple. I think there's one or two Android stories, but I'm not trying to stay here too long. Yeah, I'm running late, but I did want to get this in. Got some interesting news today. Very interesting news. And we will get to that. But first, let me promote my website. So if you go to esimstudios.com, I have all the tech news there for you in readable form if you want to read news articles old school style like your mom and dad used to do. I also have videos posted on esimstudios.com. Have our audio podcast on esimstudios.com. Let me show you what it looks like. And I got the news there that we're going to talk about today. But let's check this out. Boom, we got that right there for you, right? We also got the unlocker.app. It'll I basically break down the iPhone unlocking game and Android too, but provide you with I'm now starting videos. A side note: if you want to subscribe to our it's the new YouTube channel, the Unlocker app. That's all you got to search for on YouTube, the Unlocker app. New YouTube channel I'm going to implement into this website, the unlocker.app. And I'll teach you for free how to unlock iPhones. So we got those rolling. And let's get into it, I guess, right? I have everything linked. By the way, basically almost everything I mention, whether it be a source, news source, or any articles we mention, news topics, I have everything linked in the description box. So just if you forget something or you're like, damn, what was he talking about the other day? Just simply go down to the description box and I should have everything there linked for you, for everybody. Now that we got a good amount of people in here, let's go ahead and get to it. But real quick, check this out. So here's the menu. It is a progressive web application, meaning it's built on Web 3.0. It installs on your phone just like an application. Actually, to be completely honest with you, since I've been messing around with websites and PWAs, progressive web apps, they're basically, in my opinion, they're better than applications. You don't have to update them. You don't have to do anything. We do all that from on our end behind the scenes. So you don't have to go to a stupid app store to download these, to update them. We do all that. And they're actually safer, believe it or not. The certification, the encryption that it uses is actually better than what they use on the app stores for progressive web apps, right? That's the next generation website. That's not like the old school stuff like, your mom and pop used to get online. It's like AOL type stuff. No. This is cutting edge new websites. A progressive web app built on Web 3.0. So I have this linked in the description box as well. So please check that out. But let's get into this, right? So I went to sleep last night thinking the new Apple has I'm going to say this before I forget. I was invited today to the Google I.O. Out of nowhere, I was looking at my emails and I had scanned refreshed it, right? Scanning from the top, just going through them, answering emails, sponsorship stuff, answering questions, stuff like that, right? And then I'm like, I guess that's it. And I scroll back up at the top and I see 2 new emails from Google, one from Google, one from YouTube. Like, what the hell? Google I/O, we're invited. Now, here's a little. It sucks because it's in a week, right? It's on May 14th. I really want to go to it, but they only give me a week notice, right? So airfare, super expensive. We got to pay all that for ourselves. Hotel rooms, super expensive, because when you book stuff last minute, that's when the price is sky high. So I don't know if I will be able to get to that this year. Now that I know they're going to start inviting me, I'll probably plan for next year, right? So it's like for the Pixel release this year, I didn't know I was going to get invited until last second. Now that I know that I'm on the list, I guess I'm going to go ahead and start planning for that stuff every year, right? Because I don't know. Here's the thing with the Pixel launch. I don't know. Is it because one year they had it in New York, year before that they had it in San Francisco, and the year before that I think it was back in New York. So maybe I'm gonna have to do some homework in the background, and I'll probably email them to see. Anyways, I got invited to Google I/O, so that was a nice, pleasant surprise. So stuff's rolling right along, but also teaming forces with YouTube in their what is the official name of it? Creators. Let's see. It is Google just sent me another. Google events. You're invited to May's Google I/O. YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to team up with YouTube for the shopping creator community, where basically I'm going to be presenting and helping smaller YouTube channels basically tie in their external shopping as far as when there's links, right? So if I review a product, I can put a link for the product in the video where you push the link, and it'll open up to a number of places where you can actually purchase that product. I'm going to help join forces with them, not only give them my input, but I'm going to do more of that myself. And then it's part of their mentorship program where I'm going to reach out. I'll be on a list of YouTubers that people can reach out to and ask for questions and help people getting their shopping part of their YouTube channel up and running. So I'm very excited for that, and I was really appreciative of YouTube. So thank you for watching. They said they watch. Look, all these emails that like a couple that I was showing y'all yesterday. They all say, "Oh, we love your channel. We love your content, this and that." And look, to be honest with you, I don't think they watch. I know some do. I know some do, right? I'm not going to say who does and who doesn't, but I think just the general email that says, "Oh, we love your content. We want to work with you." I think it's just, they just say that, right? They copy and paste a statement, right, for every email they send out. But I know some do, right? But the ones that I do know watch, I'm satisfied with that. So we got some people in high places that do watch. So it is flattering, though, to get those emails and be invited to stuff, because it kind of came out of nowhere. But as the channel grows, but that's what I want to do. I want to start going to these events, especially with the Pixel 9 launch, Pixel 10, 11, 12. I want to go to these, right? I want to cover this stuff like every other YouTube tech channel, bigger YouTube tech channel. I want to be there. I want to record everything. I want to see it live in person, right? We're going to go to CES next year in Las Vegas, and eventually go to Mobile World Congress, but that's in Barcelona. But anyways, that's down the line. Let's talk about what we got going on today. So there was a big event. I went to sleep tonight thinking this event was going to be today. So, and I was mistaken. It's for tomorrow, May the 7th. Today's May the 6th. However, we did get a number of leaks. We kind of know what to expect now here from Apple. It looks like it's going to be nothing but an iPad update, meaning we're going to get refreshed, all new iPad models starting tomorrow. Apple's typically pretty good about keeping the wraps on specs and leaks and stuff like that, but look, it's literally tomorrow, and there was nothing really that came out about these up until just recently, so still pretty good at keeping stuff under wraps. But we did get some interesting news, and it looks like they're going to get some much needed upgrades, right? So let's check this out here on esimstudios.com. Now, what's the big difference, right? So there's a couple of really good things, really good upgrades that Apple's going to do to these new iPads. And there's one, not so much, but I mean, it is what it is, right? They're not new, or they're not doing something other companies don't do, right? Everybody kind of does this with some upgraded models. They'll have some carryover parts that carry over from the previous model to the new model. You see it every now and then, right? But let's get into what new specs and or items are going to have here on these iPads. So this is the iPad Pro lineup. iPad Pro lineup is going to be refreshed. All of them are going to get OLED screens. All of them will have AMOLED displays. Very nice. There's going to be a new Magic Keyboard with a sturdier frame and aluminum material. Give it that nice, clean, premium finish, look and feel. Potential introduction of Apple's first M4 chip into the new iPad Pro models tomorrow. It's probably the biggest news coming out of not only today, leaked information, but the launch of these new iPads tomorrow. Now, they're all going to be thinner as well, which sometimes is hard to believe, but that'll bring us into our major story, which we'll get to in a second. But you're going to see these iPads slimmed down. We did not get specifics how many millimeters thin. I think it's going to be right around 7 millimeters. Pretty freaking thin. So as I mentioned, so check this out. So the M4 chip, that's the biggest upgrade that you're going to see. They're going to introduce, Apple for the last few years has been putting out not only really good iPhone processors, right? Their Apple Bionic chips, very good performing chips, very powerful, decent on battery life. Had some issues this year. Remember when the iPhone 15 series was released? Their Pro, or what was it? The Pro and Pro Max had the overheating issues. Seems to be gone, right? You haven't heard anything in months. So, they make phenomenal chips. Now, you're not going to hear me applaud and or brag about Apple's products, design, anything Apple. But as I mentioned the last few days, look, the truth is the truth. If a company makes a good product, I'm just gonna flat out tell you. I'm not gonna tell you that it's everything that they do is trash, because it's simply not true, right? The fact of the matter is they do make good CPUs. Now, this M4 chip is supposed to be a beast. Comes right on the heels of Snapdragon, looking like they're coming out with a very powerful chip to battle Apple's M chip design, which is typically meant for their computers, right? Desktops, MacBooks. They're going to put this M4 chip. It's going to be the most powerful chip CPU, I dare to say, ever. Now, obviously, I'm sure there's been more powerful chips in more probably industrial products and or designs, maybe in the private sector or public sector, whatever you might, military type stuff. But when we're talking consumer electronics, just laptops, tablets, phones, PCs, even gaming systems, right? PS5s, what have you. This M4 chip should be the most powerful chip ever made. Now, why are they putting it in an iPad? Because that'll be a first, right? So why are they putting a massively powerful CPU in an iPad? It looks like this is the first time that Apple has updated their iPad series in 2 years. So we've gone a whole 2 years without a refresh, without a new iPad model, without anything. So is Apple putting this M4 chip in this iPad because they plan on keeping that upgrade schedule? Every 2 years, they're just going to refresh it every 2 years and not every 1 year? If that's the case, makes a lot of sense. You want to put your very latest and greatest, most powerful processor you have in the top-notch iPad because you want it to last. You want it to still be, this time 2 years from now, or like a year and a half from now, you still want it to be badass. You still want it to be blazing fast. And that's a good way for Apple to basically future-proof the iPad Pro line for the next, at least, well, look, that processor is so strong, so good, that iPad will last for years, forever, basically. Not forever, but you know what I mean, for a long time. But it does future-proof them, I mean Apple and or that iPad, for the foreseeable future. 2 years in tech is a long time. It's a very long time. And that M4 chip, 16, 18 months from now, 20 months from now, probably still going to be the best CPU out, honestly. So that might be a reason why they're going to put that chip in there. Now, it's kind of overkill, right? Because you only see the most powerful CPUs basically in a desktop form, or possibly in a MacBook format for studios and or hardcore video editors. Interestingly enough, they put it in an iPad. Now, makes you wonder too, if it's going to be thinner, what about the heat, right? What about the heat? Interested to see when this comes out, testing of this iPad to see if it gets hot at all by any means. We don't have much. Do we have specs on this M4 chip? Let's see. Let's see what we got. Oh wow. See, there's just not that many leaks, specs, information out on many of Apple's products because they don't even still know if it's being built on the 2 nanometer process, right? That would be incredible because I believe we're down to 4, maybe 3 nanometers. So being built on a 2 node nanometer process is groundbreaking in itself, right? Other leaks suggest that the M4 will use the same 3 nanometer processor as it did with the M3. But regardless, no matter if they keep it on the same foundation, same size, same nanometer process as the last year's model, still doesn't degrade the CPU. It's still going to be faster, still going to be obviously more powerful. And they should have it tweaked to where it does get better battery life. Typically, that's what you see with every new generation of CPU. More powerful, more stronger, but better, more efficiency, right? Which equals the better battery life. So it doesn't look like we have many specs on the CPU, but I cannot wait to see if that's the case. It looks like they are going to put this M4 chip in this new iPad Pro, and it's going to be something to see. And y'all know I'm definitely not an Apple fan, and I'm even kind of getting giddy about such a powerful chip put in an iPad. But as you know, look, a lot of people use their iPad as a pseudo laptop, right? They got that little folding keyboard, which they're going to upgrade as well tomorrow. And then you can basically use your iPad like a MacBook. Now, I know Apple's tried to separate their operating systems in the past. They want the MacBook people to be MacBook people, including the operating system. And they want iPad people to be iPad people, keeping the operating systems different. meaning different operations, a little different look, applications, all that good stuff. This year, now they're not fully integrating Mac OS into iPad OS, but they're going to slowly start to introduce Mac OS into the iPad operating system. Slowly, by every year, adding one or two or a couple features that are specific to Mac OS. They're going to slowly introduce that into iPad operating system, which means that keyboard comes in extra handy because you can take that with you everywhere. Look, iPads are great. To be completely honest with you, I would rather have an iPad than an iPhone. Now, really, I'd rather have a Samsung tablet than an iPad. That's just me. But if I had to choose out of a iPhone, out of an iPad, or a MacBook, it would be iPad for sure. 1000% for sure. Tablet sales in general are all down. So that could be another reason why Apple is choosing to upgrade this lineup every 2 years. Again, we don't know if they're going to stick to that schedule. We just have to wait and see. They haven't said anything about it. No statements, nothing. So time will tell. But you have to remember, money is at the bottom of everything. At least obviously in business world it is, right? So if tablet sales are down, if Apple puts in their latest and greatest M chip every other year on purpose to future-proof it, because they know they're only going to refresh it and release a new iPad every 2 years, right? It makes sense to me, but knowing Apple, you know, nothing set in stone, right? The leaks just aren't that great as far as information as to where they're going to go with the iPad lineup. Obviously, they're never going to kill the lineup. They're freaking popular as hell. Like, when you think of a tablet, you think of an iPad. But I'm just saying, that could be a way for Apple to future-proof itself to make it okay to release an iPad lineup every 2 years, right? Putting that M4 chip in there. Let's see. Watch. Global tablet sales. Did I spell it wrong? $128 million units of tablets were sold and or shipped worldwide in 2023. 128 million. Huh. I will. It's not that big of a deal, but that could be a reason why, right? Tablet sales are down mainly because you don't need to upgrade every year. And look, maybe Apple's finally caught on, right? I had a Samsung, what was it, S8 Ultra, and that thing's freaking badass. No, that's the ginormous 14-inch Samsung tablet, huge. Just a freaking slab of AMOLED. It's like an AMOLED person's just complete dream, right? And it's very, very, it's like paper thin. So you're basically holding a sheet of AMOLED while you're doing your whatever you need to do. When I was testing it, there's no reason to upgrade that every year. I mean, I literally thought that. Now it's been a few months since I reviewed it, but I was literally thinking, damn, there's a new one that's going to come out in, I don't know what it was, like 6 months or so. It's like, this thing's going to be bad now. No, I was thinking this thing's going to be badass for at least a couple of years. The processor they put in there, nowhere near. I mean, this M4 chip would just look at what did that Samsung S8 Ultra have in it? The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. I believe, was it 8 Gen 2 or 8 Gen 1? The M4 chip would look at that Snapdragon and be, and just keep on walking. Not even a comparison. So that's what I'm saying. When you put this level of performance powering an iPad, shit, it'll be good for like 10 years. I mean, probably not 10, but I'm not really stretching. I mean, theoretically, 8 years, but I know you have to probably replace the battery here and there. You get the idea. It's such a powerful CPU. It'll be good for a long time. So I just wish Android tablets would catch up as far as that's concerned. Looks like they are. Qualcomm's really pulling together a bunch of resources together to try and compete against Apple's best, right? So they've finally caught up to the Bionic chip CPU that powers iPhones, but they haven't quite caught up to the M series CPUs that Apple puts in their flagship components, right? But give Qualcomm another year or two, and I think they won't necessarily beat Apple in their performance of these M chips, but I think it'll be pretty close, right? I think it'll be pretty close. So Apple's had the tablet/iPad game on lock basically forever. And I would like to see that a little more competitive, right? But it looks phenomenal. Now you are going to get a refresh of the iPad. What do they call it? iPad. Let's see. What are they calling it? iPad, just the regular iPad, right? And the non-Pro and the Mini. So you're going to see a refresh of the iPad Pro. You're going to see a refresh of the basic iPad, which is still nice. And you're going to get a refresh of the iPad Mini. Another leak that's been out is that the new pen that they are going to provide is going to have haptic features, touch features, motion features, sort of similar to the S Pen that you see in Android or at least Samsung tablets and or Samsung phones. You can control parts of your phone just from this pen, and Apple's going to implement some cool features. Nothing's been confirmed, but we've seen some rumors here and there. Squeeze gestures, automatic signature gestures. It's basically going to be like an action button that you have on the side of your iPhones, and you can program it to a number of functions. So we're going to introduce that into the pen for the iPads this year as well. Much needed upgrade indeed. So this is tomorrow. It's 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Starts at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, my time, Texas, and 10 a.m. on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to watch this, trust me, it'll be all over YouTube. It'll be there for you in the morning, right? I'm sure you could find Apple's YouTube channel, and I'm sure they'll live stream it. So we'll have updates and stay on top of this for y'all tomorrow, for tomorrow's live stream. Very interested to see the reviews of that M4 chip. Now, real quick before we get out of here, I wanted to show you this real quick, right? Some late breaking news that I had gotten a hold of. Let's see. Where are we at? Oh, sorry. I had the wrong screen. All right, so look at this. I'm going to do this for tomorrow. I'm going to push this over to tomorrow. This PS5, we don't do a lot of gaming news and or reviews or information, but yeah, it's noteworthy. I'm going to some PS5 Pro details leaked. We'll do that tomorrow. And I'm going to do this tomorrow as well, plus some Apple news for the iPads. But to close this live stream out, check this out. It's true. It's very true. It looks like it's a definite go. Oh wait, I've already mentioned that yesterday. Lord have mercy. Pardon me. Where are we at? Here we go. I clicked on the wrong article. Here we go. iPhone 17 Slim is a real thing. It's legitimate, and it will be implemented in the iPhone 17 lineup, minus any kind of change down the line. But as of today, May 6th, 2024, This is a go. So check these very interesting details. Check this out. So what Apple's going to do, not now, this October, they release new iPhones every October. Every September. Pixel's October, iPhone is September. This upcoming September, Apple's going to release the iPhone 16 series, right? You're going to have the 16, you're going to have the 16 Pro, you're going to have the iPhone 16 Plus, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max, right? So when you look at sales, since they introduced the Plus model, right? Because you have the two small ones and you have the two big ones. Since they introduced this lineup, every single year, which hadn't been many, but the numbers are out, and the numbers show that the least purchased iPhone, meaning the one that basically nobody purchases, is the Plus model. It is the bigger version, however, it has the base model specs, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it has the same specs, like the iPhone 16 Plus has the same specs as the base iPhone 16 model. It's just in a bigger frame, right? I believe it's a 6.7 inch display. Now, that's the least purchased iPhone. Apple is not satisfied with that. They're looking to turn a profit. Now they're turning profits, but they look at me to get that number up, right? So out of any phone in that whole lineup, out of those four phones, if you were going to tweak or kind of implement something cool or something you think that could spark sales in that lineup, the obvious answer is the Plus model, right? Because it's getting outsold by a large margin. Like, literally, I'm not going to say nobody buys it, because obviously people do. But when you look at the numbers in sales, because look, if people just want to get in the game and just get the cheapest new iPhone, they're just going to get the base model, right? The smaller one was at the iPhone 15, right? They're just going to get that. Just to say, you got a new iPhone, it's the cheapest one, because they're all expensive, right? But then you have people that, no, I want the Pro version, right? I want the better cameras, better this, better that. But I like mine small. And some people are like, well, I like a big phone. So look at the 15 Pro Max or the 15 Pro. So you can see where the Plus gets left out, right? Kind of, it doesn't really fit in there. And I think Google's going through those same transitions with their Pixel lineup, because where does the Pixel 8a fall in to the lineup? Because the price increases has been increasing every year. It's starting to bump up against their base model flagship series, right? In price and specs, really. So I think they're trying to fine-tune their lineup as well, and we'll talk about that later, but they do have changes coming in the future when it comes to their lineup with the Pixel 9, 10, and 11 and down the road. But as I mentioned, we'll get to that at another point. But so if you're going to do anything to these iPhones, maybe give it a spark, or to give something a boost, right, in sales, and you've exhausted your advertising, you've gone through the ringer, you've gone through the hoop of trying this, trying that, or we need to pinpoint a younger demographic for this Plus model, or we need to market this to the elderly that need a bigger display that can see things better, but is cheaper than the Pro Max. See, all these things. And that's just what a smaller company, an average that's just what a small company thinks about when it comes to marketing. Apple's got all the numbers. They have all the research in the world. They have all the data in the world. So they know where they can try, where they can pinpoint, where they can try to boost sales for a certain product, right? Well, it appears they've exhausted all of their outlets when it comes to the Plus version, because I've heard talk of this in the past. Sales are low and they're looking to boost them up, but I did not see this one coming. So, and again, not for this iPhone 16. We're talking about next year, right? Next year. So a little over a year from now, Apple's going to remove that iPhone 17 Plus, and they are going to take that out of the lineup, and they're going to put a all new all new design. Well, Apple, the words Apple, the words iPhone, and the words newly designed don't really go together. However, I think this one now, I think the back's going to look the same as they always do. But check this out. So it's going to be an iPhone 17 Slim. Now, what they're going to do is, as I mentioned, they're going to remove that 17 Plus model, and they're going to introduce an iPhone 17 Slim. Now, what it's going to be is an iPhone that is razor thin. Razor thin. We're talking 5 millimeters thick. I mean, that's thinner than the Samsung tablet I was just mentioning. That's like holding a piece of paper. 5 millimeters is... Hang on. All right, so I thought rulers had millimeters on them, but they don't. They have centimeters on them. I pulled a ruler out of a desk here just to show you how thin 5 millimeters is, but I don't have millimeters on here. So regardless, look, let's give you an example. Similar size, similar statue to the iPhone 15 Plus. Right, thickness wise is this S24 Plus. Relatively same screen size, 6.7 inches display. Rather close to the thickness, right? But this one is basically just over, it's basically 0.7 centimeters, 0.8 centimeters. So it's not even 1 centimeter thick, 0.7, 0.8 centimeters. So something half of this size, half of this thick. It's going to be the same screen size. It's just going to be literally paper thin. Sounds cool, right? Now you can tell from my thumbnail, a little exaggerated, but it's a thin phone, right? You look at the device on the right. So a phone razor thin would be basically 0.3 or 0.4 centimeters thick. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. That would be an engineering marvel, because it does bring up some questions. If Apple introduces a phone that's literally, I say paper thin, but I mean, exaggerating a little bit, but kind of not. This is going to shock people. This is going to be extraordinarily thin. Raises the question, how big of a battery can they fit in there? Now you do have a little more real estate because it is a rather big phone, meaning bigger this way, but the thickness is the problem. You can't really put a really big battery in a phone that's so thin. It's really going to be interesting to see how they engineer this, basically, when it comes down to designing this. I also want to put an emphasis on overheating. If something is so thin, now remember, if they're going to make it that thin, they are cramming every component, smashing it like a pancake inside just to make it fit inside of a device. Look, just a regular phone alone, if you've ever taken a phone apart, maybe you haven't, maybe you have, maybe it's been a few years, maybe it's been 10 years. But if you take apart a brand new phone, whether it's a Samsung, whether it's an Apple, doesn't matter. Stuff is crammed in there already. This new iPhone 17 Slim would be an engineering, I'm not going to say marvel, but it's not too far-fetched. Because you have to, when you engineer these things, you got to think about the battery, you got to think about the heat. How is it going to get rid of the heat buildup? How is it going to dissipate the heat? Do they have some new vapor chamber? Do they have some new heat dissipating metals, materials that they're going to use inside there? So it's absolutely stunning. what it looks like they're going to do with this. I don't see any specifics as far as how thick it is, or how thin it is. Okay, so look, we do have the iPhone 17 will reportedly include a brand new 6.6 inch slim variant. So it will be a 0.1 inches smaller, because the iPhone 15 Plus right now is 6.7 inches. We're saying the new iPhone 17 Slim is going to be a 6.6 inch display, right? Let's see, the iPhone 17. So it's going to offer a much smaller Face ID sensor. So the one that they put in there now, obviously the mirror and is pretty small, but they're coming out with a new Face ID sensor that's going to roll out with the iPhone 17 series, and it's supposed to be just a fraction of the size of the current Face ID sensor. The physical sensor that scans your face underneath the display in your dynamic island, that's going to be reduced considerably. So they'll be able to cram all this stuff together. Everything gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So it looks like they're going to keep the sensors will probably remain small. Obviously, there's going to be a camera bump on the back, right? As they all do. But it looks like here, do we get RAM? Now, this is purely speculation, but the iPhone 17 Pro Max could come with 12 gigs of RAM. I wouldn't really put too much weight into that. It looks like, where did I see this aluminum frame at? Come on now. Okay, so it will have an aluminum frame, aluminum build. Okay, so the titanium chassis, the titanium frame would remain with the Pro and the Pro Max, and the aluminum frame would stick with this iPhone 17 Slim. Now, before we get out of here, their aluminum dissipates heat, meaning it gets rid of heat. It cools down faster, aluminum does, than titanium. So that's a plus, right? Because you got to remember, if everything's crammed in there, how do they get rid of the heat? Well, having an aluminum frame is better than a titanium frame, because that type of metal cools down faster than titanium. So there's a plus. Now, what about rigidness? What about stiffness? You know, Jerry Rig Everything, how he does his famous bend testing, and he'll take the phone and like snap them in half or test them. This thing, look, there was an issue. What was it? The iPhone 6 Plus or 6S. Remember they had a problem with them bending? We had one actually that bent. iPhone 6, 6S, 6 Plus, whatever it was. Notorious for bending. Stick it in your back pocket. Go to sit down in your car. It's bent. So reinforcing this frame is going to be another engineering, dare I say, marvel. Now look, you can probably bend most any phone, minus one or two that I've seen Jerry Rig Everything. Most phones, if you push hard enough, will either bend and or crack, right? This one being so thin that, remember, the thinner something is, easier it is to bend. So just like this, right? See how thin this ruler is? Look at that. Now it goes back in place because it's plastic, slowly. But if you have something that's metal, like a can, like a Coke can, how easy it is to crush it, that's aluminum. So it is soft metal, but it dissipates heat very well. So that's going to be another challenge for Apple to make it look. It's going to be breakable, right? It's going to be bendable, right? But the key is for them making it as stiff and as rigid as possible. So that's a big feat for the engineers. Apparently, they've got something. I'm sure they've got prototypes they've put together, built, tested, and are passing around the boardrooms. Apparently, look, that sounds really badass. Like, I love thin phones. I love thin cases. So bring it on. hopefully some Android manufacturers will catch on. But we'll keep an eye on that for you. That's all I got for you today. Do appreciate you joining us. And how's it going, AC? Thank you very much for joining. I do appreciate it. Catch us every day. I do upload content every day, reviews, and we do our live stream every day. So never short for content over here in the technology world. But we'll cover this Apple thing tomorrow and let you know. I think most everything I reported on today is going to be true. But we'll see. Come back tomorrow and we'll see what I got right, what I got wrong. But appreciate it. And as always, I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace out.